All right. So the Daily Marketer script. Now, the Daily Marketer script has been iterated and changed over many times. And I will say some of the, between just script writing and everything like this is the very best script that there is. I'm convinced of it. I haven't seen a better script that there is. And yes, I wrote it myself. Okay. However, I will say that I had some help from some of the smartest salespeople that have ever lived. Okay. Between Oren Klaff, Pitch Anything, Chris Voss, which is probably the biggest influencer of this script. Chris Voss wrote a book called Never Split the Difference. And he was a ex-FBI hostage negotiator. His techniques are littered through this. Jordan Belfort, I even got some stuff from the Wolf of Wall Street. There's some really great things. I ingested all of this stuff and I really made it my own. And so when you read this script, this is not a half-baked, hey, I just copied and pasted from people. There's purpose and intent behind every single line in here. And so we're going to go through it, but I want you guys to understand this is by far the best script on the market today. So learn it, drill it, do it, and we'll go from there. So you'll notice there's black and blue text. Okay, we do a lot of event marketing. So the blue is event marketing, how you can adapt it to event marketing. But for the purposes of this training, we're going to go through the primary script, which is direct to office. Okay, so the startup is not real complicated. Okay, when you train to startup, I really think there's so many different ways you can do this. I think it's more personality driven than anything, the initiation of the call. But do you have any guidelines, Sonny, when you do when you guys train on the first 5 seconds of the call?
Yeah, we keep it real simple. So if it's neuropathy patients, it's like, hi, Dan, this is Sonny from Kingston Crossing. We're just calling you because you've signed up for a neuropathy consult. Is this for your hands or for your feet?
Yeah.
So we start off with a question just to engage them. And then it's 50-50. Half of them are going to be like, yeah, I signed up for a lead. The other half are going to start asking questions where you're calling from and why.
Perfect. Yeah. So, I mean, the start here is really very generic. Okay. It's very broad. You don't need to get real crazy on it. I like that lead that you have. This one we do, it works fine. Okay. It works A-okay. The reason it's kind of general is because you're going to have a lot of different conditions that you're calling and using
Correct.
the script for. So the first part of it is going to be a lot. I like that. Is this for your hands or feet? Right? Like ending it with a question. That's great. Okay. So here is where things really get started. So you start the conversation and you do the transition statement. Now, the transition statement is the thing. It's the tool that really launches you into a position of power in the conversation. Okay. So a lot of people would say, have I got you at a good time? When is it a good time? Never. It's never a good time. That's why we say, have I caught you at a bad time? Okay, so Chris Voss says you always want to get your first no. Salesmen are always trained to get yeses. Yeses are the worst thing you can get if you want somebody to not think you're a salesman, right? The way to not sell something is to get no's.
That makes sense.
Okay, so we want to say, have I caught you at a horrible time?
No.
Okay, now I have permission to continue. Okay, because it's not a horrible time. Might not be a great time for you, but at least it's not horrible. Make sense?
Makes sense.
Okay, so this getting the no, like optimizing for no, is really important here. Now, the setup. Okay, we really want these people to we want to have success here. Okay, but we can't do that if they're against us. Okay, so the setup is really important. So great. So like I said, I just want to make sure. So this is really saying, hey, this is not going to be cumbersome for you. I'm going to make this easy for you. Okay. So like I said, I just want to make sure your information is correct. So when the doctor asks questions, I can be helpful. Sound good? I'm making you my ally. The doctor's going to ask me questions. Can you help me help you?
Correct.
Right? Sound good? Yeah, sounds good. Okay. So right here, we're just going to verify we're just going to get a little bit of information. So it says your name is Sonny Gill. Is that
Correct.
right?
That's right.
Okay. And here your phone number is 206-555-5555.
Correct.
Okay. Notice I didn't even say, is that correct? I said 5555. So I asked a question with my tone. Okay. Use your tone and leave dead space after that. Okay. So that's just a tool. If you're asking, is that right all the time? They're going to be like, I'm getting sold. So use your tone to not use those types of phrases.
Makes sense.
Okay. And then, so the next thing, this is the most important part of the entire script. I'll tell you this right here will increase your show rate, increase the quality of patient you have, everything. This one thing, if you do it right, it'll change everything for you. Okay. And here it is. Okay. So this is called frame and filter. And I'm going to do it real fast and then we'll come back to what it is. Okay. Great. So Sonny, because we take helping people with neuropathy very seriously, we always want to make sure that our program is a fit. Would it be okay if we took a minute and found out a little bit more about you?
Yes.
Okay. Let's stop here for just a second. Frame and filter. So the first thing is, I want to make an emphasis on both the words and the tone that I'm using. Let's start with the words. Okay. So the words are, we take helping people with neuropathy very seriously. There's two things. One, we want to just let them know this is not a sales pitch. By saying we take it seriously, that means you might not be a fit. By saying you might not be a fit, that means, wait, they're not selling me something. Okay. By taking something away from somebody without their consent, they're going to naturally gravitate towards this is important to me. Okay?
Got it.
Okay. The other thing is the cadence. With my cadence, I can also infer that importance. We take helping with people with neuropathy very seriously. Use that cadence. That cadence is your tool. Okay? If you understand, if we all learn these things, like we learn that if people are talking like this, it means something. It has a psychological meaning to us. So that cadence translates to that person or communicates to them that, hey, this isn't normal. This isn't a sales pitch. And that's the whole goal. We don't want to be a salesperson. Make sense?
Makes sense.
Okay. The next thing is, if you noticed my tone, was it high and did it drift up? Was it conversational, or did it get more intense and lower?
Intense and lower.
Intense and lower.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, and it's almost like what you're doing without saying it is like putting your arm around them and pulling them in for like a huddle, you know, in essence.
I have to be the opposite of what everything else is that they are used to when a call comes in. Okay. I want to do this one more time. And now that we've talked about the cadence, the tone, the words, I want you to pay attention and see if it makes any difference. Okay. Let me know if you guys hear it. Okay. Great. So Sonny, we take helping people with neuropathy very seriously. And we always want to make sure that our program is a fit. Would it be a problem if we took a minute to find out a little bit more about you?
Yes.
Okay. And leave it dead. Leave dead space. Don't ever, ever, ever interrupt dead space. If somebody's not responding, neither do you. Okay? All right. Let's move on. So this is something that Discovery and Mirror.
I won, by the way, just so you know. I left dead space and you filled it.
Sorry. You are the winner. You are the master silence, no breaker. Okay. So Discovery and Mirror. So mirroring is a sales technique from a long time ago. At the heart of it, mirroring is dead space and repeating the last three words of what anybody says. Okay. Listening is the most important thing you can do as a salesperson. Okay. And what are you doing when you're listening? You're communicating to the person that you're communicating with, that you're listening to, that you heard everything they said. Everything. And when you show that, that's called consideration. You showed consideration. Okay. And you relate to them. So if I were to ask you a question like, hey, Chad, can I ask you, how long have you been struggling with these pins and needles, this burning sensation?
10 years.
10 years?
Yeah.
You know what? I wasn't gonna, like, that was the dead space. I won that time. Okay. So 10 years. So I'm repeating back to him the thing, and I'm showing concern in my tone, right? So mirroring is all about just taking, usually, you want to set yourself up with questions where it's like, so it says here that you've been struggling, that on a scale from 9 to 10, you're at a 9. How long has it been like that? Right? Things like that.
Right.
How long has it been that bad?
Yeah.
How long has it been that bad?
We'll use terms like, how long has it been like this for? How long has it been this bad for?
Yeah, that's great.
On the phone.
Right. Okay. So, and then this next piece. So before we move on to maximize, so discovery and mirror, the goal that we are optimizing for here is relatability. If you've ever had a conversation where, like, at the end, somebody said, man, I don't know what it is, but you're just really trustworthy. You're really great. You know why that is? That's because you listened. That's because you were considerate. That's because you were relatable. Some people have this naturally. If you're not that person, you don't have it naturally, this will be a lifesaver for you. Ask open-ended questions that help you establish the source and the problem that those people are struggling with, and then be relatable. So a 9 out of 10, use tone, use cadence, use all those things. Okay. So maximizing. Now maximizing, I learned this from Sonny, from you. So I actually want you to just talk real quick. So somebody's talking to me about their neuropathy conditions.
Yeah. Most doctors minimize. I know we're talking about calling leads. You never want to minimize. If the best example is headaches. If someone has headaches, they go to the doctor's office. The doctor just writes it down. They have daily headaches. They have it every single day. They take Tylenol. It just gets written down, and it gets minimized further with a prescription to leave their office for a pharmaceutical drug. Our reality as natural healthcare providers, it's not normal to have headaches, period. I don't care if it's once a month or once a day, once a week. It's our job to bring them to our reality, and we do that through maximizers by saying stuff. Sorry to hear that it's not normal to have headaches 3 to 4 times a week. That's
right.
Not normal. That's concerning. That's not okay. Those are the most common maximizers we use. Or we'll even make statements like, Mike, how long has your neuropathy been like this for? How long has it been this bad? That's another maximizer. Most facilities over the years have just minimized their conditions, and it's our job to bring them to our reality that it's not normal.
So why? What's the goal? What are we?
Increase their reality on their condition.
Okay. And what happens when that happens?
You create a relationship, and there's a higher probability they will make it to the office.
That's exactly right. I mean, if you're spending 1 minute on the phone following up with the lead, if they're willing to talk to you and you spend 1 minute on the phone with them, how are you going to accomplish this? Right? It's not how quickly you can get off the phones. It's how concisely and how well you can listen and how well you can relate to them. So these are all tools that you guys can use. Okay. Show empathy. So this is, and some of these, this is not going to be in the exact order, this part of it. Like when you're asking questions, learning to like dive deeper into their conditions, their things like that, it's not going to be in a perfect order. So these are, they're tools. So show empathy. I know that can be terribly frustrating. What was that like? Things like that. You know what I mean? I'm sorry to hear that. But at the same time, not minimizing, right? Is there a fine line to walk there when we're trying to show empathy, like concern?
Just come from the heart, make it real. Don't be phony. It's got to be your own words.
Right.
Create your own maximizers. You don't have to use the ones you have. Make your own words that have to be genuine.
Right. Okay. So hopefully this makes sense. What I want to do now is, this part to me, this is where if you've done all these things, this is where you can mess everything up, okay, by doing this one thing wrong. Or you can make the entire thing by doing it right, okay? And it's going to be a lot like frame and filter. This is a very critical point. So certainty and commit. All right, so I'm actually going to do this again like we did last time. I'm going to do it. Then we'll come back. We'll talk about why, and then I'll do it again. Okay. So Sonny, as I told you, we take helping people with neuropathy very seriously. Okay. And based on what you've told me, I think our clinic would be a perfect fit. So the next step would be to get you on the schedule and get you the help you need. So I've got a couple times available: 3:00 today, 9 tomorrow morning, and 1:30 tomorrow, 1:30 tomorrow afternoon. Which one makes the most sense for you?
Can you do 9 o'clock tomorrow? I start late, so tomorrow at 9 would work great.
Perfect. Okay. So certainty and commit. Why is certainty so important? You've gone through this emotional journey with this person, and now you're going to signal to them that they made the right choice. Okay. So when we say based on, this is a cadence that is actually, I think our clinic would be a perfect fit. This is a learned cadence that people understand. And by the way, if you were to time me doing it every single time and then time another person do it, we all do it the same because we've heard this. We've learned this from society, right? So that really, as we do that, that signals to that person, hey, we're good. We got you. How does that feel for you, for anybody? How does that feel to go through a dialogue, to share information, and then at the end, hey, you made the right choice? Okay? If you can show that certainty, they will commit to your next request. Make sense?
Makes sense, absolutely.
So for me now, again, I didn't make any of these things up. I learned them. We tested them. They worked. We did them again. And these really work. This script by far is, I mean, it is an amazing tool. If the only things that you, as you adapt and do things your own, because I understand, you know, every location is different. This is a guide. There's a couple things of frame and filter, game changer. Certainty and commit, game changer. Relating to people, asking them questions, game changers. Okay. So use these tools, you guys. Hopefully this has been a useful training. Anything you want to add to any of this, Sonny or Chad?
You know, I think this is a simple tool that, if taken seriously, could have a major impact on your practice. You know, one of my favorite Samisms, a Carlsonism. Is that which sounds better, Samism or Carlsonism?
Whatever you like.
Big doors swing on small hinges.
That's right.
You know, and so you can, and I think this is somewhat counterintuitive. And what I'm guilty of this myself, like loud and clear, is that we always want to look for the sexy, shiny, Grand Slam, home run, Ferrari approach to growing and scaling a practice, right? And yet what you're presenting here is this seemingly insignificant tool.
Right.
And yet what you're offering here could be the difference between a practice just barely eking by to a practice thriving, truly.
Right. Right.
And so I hope docs understand that the gravity of what we're talking about here can and will make all the difference in the world, because at the end of the day, if you have traffic that is working amazing and you have a funnel that is working amazing, and yet at the end, the result is you have a bunch of leads that are not translating into warm bodies in the door, qualified people through the door, that'll bankrupt you.
Yeah.
It'll kill your practice. It really will.
Yep. Anything you want to add, Sonny?
No, last thing I'll add is once you learn this and you implement it, you have to keep going back and retraining on it.
Drill it.
The script will change because of experiences on the phone. So this is the Bible. You want to turn to it whenever your stats start to fall.
Yeah, absolutely. So I will say one more thing. So this is kind of a framework I use for rebuttals. Again, when people are talking on the phone, you're going to hear all sorts of stuff that, you know, you never expected. Okay. And so if you look at these common rebuttals, and we'll add more to this, I'm sure, as time goes on, but this is just an example of one of them. So does my insurance cover this? So I know you have some rebuttals. I'd be interested to hear those, but mine has always been a combination of what I learned from you and then what I've learned on kind of the fly on my own. And so, for example, so does my insurance cover this? Like a lot of health services, insurance does not cover this. That said, we're going back to the frame filter. We take helping people with neuropathy extremely seriously. So we never let money be a reason that somebody can't get care, assuming that person wants to get help.
Well, and for us too, we'll always keep it framed back to this whole idea that you're putting the cart before the horse if we're talking money, because we first have to find out if we can even help you.
Sure.
And so for us to say it's going to cost this much, you're kind of putting the cart, well, you really are putting the cart before the horse, because you've already made your diagnosis.
Right.
You can't make the diagnosis without an evaluation, and so we always pull it back to that look, first things first. And I think that makes sense to people. It's not a pitch. It really is. The first step, we got to find out what's going on and whether or not we can help you. So let's start there. And then we can kind of cross all those other logistical questions when we get there.
Yeah, we do something very similar. We get asked that a lot. We usually say, your consultation is complimentary. We don't bill your insurance. It's free. It's complimentary. And when you come in, we'll go through all the different things, all the different questions you have.
Okay. Cool.
And that usually always handles that question on the phone.
That's great. Yeah, I just think that sometimes people will throw up. And by the way, it's not a signal to you. If somebody says, does my insurance cover this? It doesn't mean they're looking that they're a bad lead, that they're not qualified. Go ahead.
It's reflexive. That's the most common question people have. It is. It's one of the most common ones.
They're trained to do it.
Yeah.
Okay. So we just need to be trained better. We need to understand how to respond to them. That way we take what they have. It's kind of like Aikido, you take the energy and you just redirect it. That's exactly what we're doing.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, guys. So hopefully the Daily Marketer, this training has been helpful. Go through it. Go through the script time and time and time again. Once again, the software will allow a lot of the tactical day-by-day things to happen on your behalf, but drill that script as many times as you can so you own it as you get great at it. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Sam.